Hey everybody, it's Marcia. I'm here at the CHADD conference with Nancy Ratey, who is largely recognized as one of the founders of ADHD coaching. So what I wanted to ask her about is why she thinks coaching is good for business owners. So Nancy, could you tell us? Nancy does do a lot of coaching with executives and entrepreneurs. So could you tell us, Nancy, why people who own businesses should, and who have ADHD, should get coaching? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I was just talking to Marcia, telling her that most of my clientele are males, entrepreneurs and business owners, as she was saying. And I think that the men actually men are more apt to look for a coach because it's a practical, oriented, strategic method of helping them be more effective in their business. And also, if they have ADD, and a lot of them come to me right after they've been diagnosed with ADD and been on medication, and it's usually because their son or daughter has been diagnosed, and then they see themselves in their children. They see the same symptomology. And number one, they want to be able to provide a good example for their child, but also in their businesses, they see that they are not performing at the level that they know that they can perform.
So we're back with Nancy Ratey. Nancy, what is the one question or the one moment that makes people call you? What's the trigger that they call you and say, I want to work with you?
It's usually because they are fed up with themselves, because they have tried everything under the sun and it hasn't worked, it hasn't stuck with them, and they are trapped in the moment and they keep repeating the same patterns over and over again, and so they don't trust themselves anymore, and no one else can rely on them, and they feel terrible because they can't rely on themselves anymore. And a lot of that has to do with not being able to measure time, gauge time, see time, prioritize, or to manage themselves in the moment, because a lot of people with ADD forget the pain of the past and they forget the goal of the future. So as a coach, I will gather from them, what is that goal of the future? Where do they want to be? Where do they want their business to be? And then what is it that has prevented them from getting there? And what part of that is ADD? Go back to your question, is they usually come to me when they just are fed up with themselves because they say, I don't know how to self-manage. One quote that I think is perfect, a client of mine said, a very high-level client, he said, why is it that I don't do what I tell myself to do? He said, what is wrong with me?
Good question.
Yeah.
And your answer? ADHD?
ADD. I said we all have a little bit of defiance in us. So, but I love what I do, and I'm glad that you guys are here doing what you're doing.
So if I had to ask you to say in one sentence, what's your best tip for a business owner with ADHD? What would you say?
The best tip, I think, is what we were talking about earlier, and that is to have a calendar posted on the wall and put a big X through a full year calendar, and put an X as every day passes by, and then ask yourself, the action or the choices that I make today, how does that choice affect, if it's on a Tuesday, how does it affect Thursday next week, and then how does it affect the next week after that, kind of like a domino effect, and how is that going to affect your goal that you're trying to get to, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or 3 years from now. And that really makes people think when they see, a full year calendar, and you start watching the months go by, you know, as you're Xing things out. So I would say that that's one huge tip. But the overall arching thing is get to know your ADD, how it affects you specifically, and then do something about it. And an ADD coach is a great way to go about it. Because they're a partner with you, and so that's what I would say.
Great, so everybody get ready. We're going to be recommending from now on that you get a calendar and you X off the days.
And get my book, The Disorganized Mind.
And get Nancy's book, The Disorganized Mind. Thank you, Nancy.